When we last saw Terence Crawford, he was giving an absolute clinic to a game but outclassed Errol Spence. It was one of those performances that made us all stop and take notice. But now his future opponent is questioning his sanity. In the aftermath of the Spence fight, rumors began to swirl about a possible super fight between Terence Crawford and Saul Canelo Alvarez. Although Canelo seems open to the idea, most people are skeptical and believe that it would be a horrible mistake for Crawford to move up in weight and face such a big puncher. On paper, it's hard to argue against Canelo. He has faced bigger opponents throughout his career, including Sergey Kovalev and Billy Joe Saunders, and he was able to make easy work of both of them. On top of that, Canelo has more experience at the higher weights, which makes it even harder to envision a scenario where Crawford can win this fight. However, let us not forget that Canelo also went up in weight to challenge Caleb Plant for the IBF super middleweight title last year, only to suffer his first defeat in over a decade. So clearly, weight isn't everything. As impressed as I was with Canelo in that fight, it was clear that he struggled against Plant's size and movement. On the other hand, I have yet to see any fighter give Crawford serious problems with his movement and size. In fact, many fighters end up quitting or getting knocked out because they do know how to deal with him. I think there's no doubt that Canelo is the better overall fighter at welterweight, but Crawford might actually have the tools to beat him. For starters, Crawford has a very similar body type to Canelo. Even though Canelo is naturally bigger, he has to bulk up to welterweight, which doesn't necessarily play to his advantage. And that becomes evident when you look at their records. Both fighters have 39 wins by knockout and only 1 loss. That's exactly what I expected. Now, looking back at the Plant vs. Canelo fight, I couldn't help but wonder if Crawford would have had an easier time with Canelo than Plant did. Let's face it, Plant wasn't a natural welterweight either, but he was significantly bigger than Canelo, which allowed him to keep Canelo at distance and control the pace of the fight. And he did a good job of that until he started getting tired in the later rounds. Crawford, on the other hand, is a natural welterweight and probably weighs less than Canelo, so he wouldn't have to worry about the same issues of fatigue that plagued Plant. In addition, he's incredibly fast and elusive, which would make it extremely difficult for Canelo to land his signature power punches. Crawford has a very diverse skill set. He can box from the outside with his jab, he can brawl in the inside, and he can also switch stances and make adjustments on the fly. This is what makes him so dangerous and why I truly believe that he can beat Canelo. Canelo is known for his tremendous power. However, most of his knockouts come against opponents who are already hurt or fatigued. If you look at his record, you'll see that most of his victories by knockout come in the later rounds when his opponent is exhausted. On the other hand, Crawford has never been knocked out, and he usually wears down his opponents with his relentless pressure and accurate punching. He doesn't rely on one punch to end the fight. Instead, he uses his jab to set up his combinations, and he can fight in bunch. Another important factor to consider is that Crawford is coming off a huge victory over Errol Spence, while Canelo suffered a controversial loss in his last fight against Dimitri Bivol. Now, some people say that Canelo was fighting at a catch weight of 168 pounds, so he shouldn't lose against Crawford at 154 pounds, but if you ask me, I think Canelo was simply outboxed by the younger, hungrier Bivol, and it had nothing to do with the weight. Don't get me wrong, I think Canelo is still a pound-for-pound great, but the days of him being invincible are over. And I think Crawford is the best fighter in the world right now. He's the only one who hasn't lost in over 10 years. He's beaten every top contender in his division, and he's done it in dominant fashion. People keep talking about how Canelo has never lost at home, but Crawford has never lost, period. And I think that's more impressive. Plus, Canelo's last 3 fights were at a higher weight class. So, I'm not sure how relevant that argument is. Let's be real. This isn't going to be an easy fight for Crawford, but I think he can pull off the upset if he sticks to his game plan. Canelo is definitely a step up in competition, but I think Crawford is up for the challenge. Now, if this fight does happen, there are a lot of things that Crawford is going to have to do correctly in order to walk away with a victory. For starters, he's going to have to use his jab to keep Canelo at range. We've seen how dangerous Canelo can be when he is allowed to get inside and start winging power shots. so it's crucial that Crawford keeps him at bay. In addition, Crawford needs to be patient and wait for his opportunities to strike. He can afford to get caught up in a brawl with Canelo because he simply has too much power. The key to this fight will be whether or not Crawford can control the pace and dictate the terms. If he can do that, I think he has a great chance of winning. Many people seem to overlook the fact that Canelo has never fought anyone who is as good as Crawford. He's always had advantages in size, power, or experience. Against Crawford, he'll be facing a fighter who can match him in all of those areas. And the funny thing is, Crawford has already called out Canelo multiple times, and each time Canelo's team responds by saying that the fight is unattractive because Crawford is a small welterweight. Well, I guess that's about to change. And if this fight happens, it will either solidify Crawford's place as an all-time great or prove that Canelo's dominance is simply untouchable. There's no denying that Canelo is a legend of the sport. He has held world titles in 4 different weight divisions, and he has defeated some of the best fighters of his generation. But it's time to stop treating him like he's above losing. Crawford is the no 1 pound, 4 pound fighter in my opinion, and it's not even close. He's simply the best fighter in the world right now. His combination of size, speed, power, and technique is unmatched, and I think he's going to prove it once again against Canelo. I'm not saying that Canelo is washed up or anything like that. I think he can still beat most of the fighters in his division, but I think Crawford is the exception. The bottom line is that I think Crawford is going to shock the world and beat Canelo Alvarez. So what do you guys think? Do you agree with my assessment? Is this a bad matchup for Crawford? Or do you think he can pull off the upset? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe because I have a lot more videos coming out soon. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.